conversations with An Taisce Smith.
Okay, so folks, thank you very much for all attending today. Tá Bronarm, tá piece of yog I have at the moment, but hopefully that'll change over the summer, Liam. They have been very insightful presentations, and I do thank you for taking the time to be with us today. I know there's a lot of preparation work goes into being here, and I've had the pleasure of meeting with both Michael and Liam, or Michael and Ian previously, so delighted to have you here today, folks. Just in terms of, Liam, your proposition of using the Irish language more as a tourism attraction almost. I suppose you talked a lot about there at Glencolmkill and how, you know, the landscape, and it has so much history itself. I suppose unfortunately not every nook and cranny of Ireland has that benefit of a cultural attachment in terms of big names or historical events or historical buildings attached to that. But I like your idea and the, I suppose, premises of perhaps thinking differently about the Irish language and how it could be used. I suppose I would say feel that perhaps we're not taught the love of the language firstly in our educational experience hasn't been about the love of the language. It was more something we had to do. And I'm wondering, do you see opportunities in schools and how we could maybe change that mindset and that thought frame? And I'm wondering about maybe other parts of the country, how you see where maybe there isn't the tourist attraction naturally in the area like you have in Glencolmkill, how the Irish language could be used. And I'll be very parochial about it and use Cavan Monaghan as an example. You know, how we could initiate Gaeltachts in counties like that maybe don't have a natural draw for it, or maybe have that emphasis like you have in Glencolmkill to promote the language. In terms of Michael and your presentation there, I have to say I was deeply involved with the Heritage Officer, and I have to say great credit to Anne-Marie Ward and also Shirley Clerkin in Monaghan County Council, who do fantastic work and real tangible work on the ground that does get our local communities involved in the Golden Mile and the discovery of the castle down in Clones. And Heritage Week, of course, is a fantastic impetus for all that, and to get people, no more than the arts, but the same for heritage, I would say, people who don't necessarily have an inroad to it. I think Heritage Week and the Golden Mile does provide an opportunity for all walks of life to get involved and to have an appreciation of heritage and culture. And just in terms of your heritage office, I think you said you have 28 of them around the country. I suppose from our point of view here, what more could we be doing, I suppose, in terms of providing the resources that you might need to have a greater impact? And just could you talk to us a little bit how important the buy-in is from your local authority? I know that those targets met by laying out their heritage plan, their 5-year heritage plan. Of course, the heritage forums, I think, is very important too for getting people involved, because I think if you don't have the ordinary Joe Soap in our communities involved, and I think that's what has been the real success of our heritage officers too, is that link with the local authorities and that link with community. And I just wonder if you could expand on that a little bit more for us. And I have to say, I do think that the Heritage Council have done a sort of very hands-on, bottom-up approach by having that engagement with the local authority. And I just wondered, is there any involvement with our ETBs across the country in terms of the Heritage Council, or could there be? Is that something that we could work on for you? And you also talked about Brexit, and of course that's the greatest challenge faced by all of us, I'm sure, for decades. Just what the challenges you see for the Heritage Council, and this applies to Ian too and An Taisce, in your work All Ireland, not just your organisations, but in the work, the context of the work that you do, the challenges posed. And maybe, Liam, I don't know if you see that having an impact on you, or perhaps an opportunity. Like, let's talk about the opportunities that might be provided and what we can do to enhance those. And I'll hand it back to you, folks. Thank you.
I'm leaving myself open to an accusation that I'm putting a monetary value on the Irish language, and of course that's not the way it is, but it has to be seen in the context. There is an advantage, as you music to my ears said, that it's an asset that we have in our community and an asset that people have in the Gaeltacht communities. I wish that were seen by all. But I think that the growth in the Gael Scholar movement and the growth of Irish language projects outside of the Gaeltacht reflects your question, that is happening, that other communities are seeing the value of the language and the cultural heritage. And Bernadine, that's with me here, from Clondalk and Iris Cronin, one of the reasons that she's involved with our project, but one of the reasons I asked her to come along is that it's an excellent example of an urban Gaeltacht growing. So Bernadine, maybe you'd like to say something about that.